Alhamdulillah. Okay, so ask me a question one more time, just so I'm going to understand properly.
So basically what it is what I wanted to know. I'm getting confused.
No problem.
So basically, I seen a guy, I spoke to him, another Muslim as well, and he told me, we was talking about, it came to Islam, and he goes, how many salats do you pray? So I goes, I pray obviously five a day. Then he goes, who's told you to pray 5? Because I don't know, I just follow what my parents have told me, and so on and so forth. And I don't know too much about the deen. I know just the surahs to pray the salats with. So then he's asked me, are you a blind follower and all of this? Then obviously I said, I'm not a blind follower. Then he goes, are you sure this is from the Quran and this has been stated directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or this is from Bukhari, which a lot of people relate back from narration, and I didn't understand the Bukhari thing either. Because everyone knows the Quran is full tight, airtight, nobody can disagree with the Quran. But when it comes to Bukhari, I don't know.
Okay, so there's 3 things that you're asking here, so I want to separate all 3.
Yeah,
so number 1, are you asking me how the Quran indicates that there's 5 salah, or are you asking me...
Yeah, that's one question. So, does the Quran even... Allah...
So that's one question.
Yes.
Another question is, are the hadith trustworthy?
Yes.
And then the other question is, who's Bukhari, basically?
And who made it sahih? Because they always say sahih.
Okay, good.
Allah made it sahih.
Good, okay.
Or has Bukhari made it sahih?
Good. So these are 3 separate questions. The reason I'm saying is because...
And one more question for you.
Okay, go on.
What is more powerful? Is the Quran more powerful, or is the Bukhari hadith? Is it more powerful?
That's what I'm saying. So when you say Bukhari hadith, there's hadith that Bukhari reported, or are you talking about hadith in generally? Or are you talking about just Bukhari's hadith?
All hadith for them.
Okay, good. That's what I'm saying. You have to talk about hadith. Good.
Because everyone refers to Bukhari as in the highest hadith.
So in terms of implementing it and taking it as a source of our religion.
No, I'm not
saying the Quran and the hadith are on the same level in that regard.
You saying the Quran
and the hadith,
the word of Allah
is
the same as the hadith?
In terms of implementation. Shall I tell you why? Because the Quran told you to implement the hadith.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran.
So many places. So many in Surah An-Nahl, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, I sent down the Quran upon you, O Muhammad. Why? لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ. So that Muhammad, you can clarify its meaning to the people. Number 1. Number 2, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَآتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. In Surah Al-Hashr, Allah said, anything that the Prophet gives you, take it. And anything he prevents you from, leave it alone. Another ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla.
But that's not hadith. What you're saying this is what the Prophet, what he's saying to the Prophet.
I'll tell you, one second. Question, what is hadith firstly?
Is what's narrated from the Prophet.
So, let me give you a good definition of hadith. Hadith is ما أضيف إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. It's anything that you attribute to the Prophet ﷺ in terms of fi'l, actions, qawl, statements, or consent. Consent, what he consented to. So when Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Anything he gives you, take it. Anything he prevents you from, stay away from it. So when the Prophet is giving you things, he's giving you rulings, he's giving you ahkam, he's saying things, he's giving you teachings, right? When he's preventing you, he's prohibiting you, he's saying, no, don't do this, don't do this. That's all hadith. That's what's being attributed to the Prophet. Another ayah I'll give you. One is clear. Look what Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said. He said, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. Muhammad doesn't speak from his own desires. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيُ يُوحَى. Rather, what he's saying is Allah sending revelation to him. So from here we learn 2 things.
I know this.
The ones that is important to understand. The wahy, the revelation is 2 types. There's the revelation that Allah sent in terms of Allah's speech. That's one wahi, that's Quran. And the other revelation is what? Is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You see?
But whatever you said there, you haven't still said one bit that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said hadith. So this is what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was told. His actions, and that's what he's going through that time to his people. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I don't understand.
So,
I don't understand what you're
saying. Because this hadith has been written how much 100 years later? It's not been written on the spot,
but let me ask you a question. The Quran, how do you know that the Quran No, the hadith was written at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, by the way.
Oh, so this
It was.
It's not. So
There was
Bukhari
one second. There were hadith that were written at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. The Quran was written at the time of the Prophet ﷺ.
Yeah. The Quran.
Even because there is one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, don't write what I'm saying, only write down the Quran. But there are other evidences that show that the Prophet ﷺ at his time, a hadith was written. For example, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he mentioned that Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhuma, he used to write down more hadith to me. He'd written down more hadith to me. So it was being written at the time of the Prophet. But that's a different discussion. But for us, what writing is not what's considered an evidence. What's considered for us is the chain of transmission. Now I'm saying that Bukhari is one man who done a very good job, by the way, at collecting the
So he's
authentic
not the one
hadith.
that's written it.
He didn't write it. So what
Okay.
Bukhari done is this. You see, there's something called a chain of transmission.
Okay.
A chain of transmission, yeah? A chain of narration. It's called an isnad in Arabic. They call it an isnad, okay? The isnad is basically where Al-Bukhari, rahimahullah ta'ala, he heard it from a man, who heard it from a man, who heard it from a man, who heard it from a companion, who heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's a very robust science that goes about verifying and authenticating that chain. For example, every man in the chain must have met, number one. Number two, every man must have met.
The Prophet Muhammad.
No, so for example, let's just say I'm a guy. Let's just say I'm Bukhari. Okay, I never met the Prophet, right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Bukhari never met the Prophet, right?
Yeah.
But Bukhari had a sheikh.
Yeah.
Bukhari's sheikh had a sheikh. So this, let's just say.
So we follow it. Had a man. Is that word say?
It's not. It's you know why it's not. Let me ask you a question. How do you know your mum is your mum? What's your evidence? What's your evidence she's your mum?
That's my mum.
But what's your evidence?
My mum told you.
Your mum told you.
Yeah.
But that's he say. That's he say. Sorry, that's she say. So what's the so who else told you?
My mum obviously I need to know my mum.
But I'm saying there are men that Allah, He testified of their virtue.
Allah has testified.
Yeah, in the Quran, the Sahaba, right?
Okay. Yeah, the Sahaba.
So,
I'm saying that's the time of the Prophet.
But the Sahaba transmitted it down to their students. Look what Allah Azza wa Jalla said. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in ja'akum fas. This is what Allah said. Look what Allah said here. This is powerful. Look at this. Allah said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, in ja'akum fasiqum binaba'in fatabayyanu. Allah said, if a sinner comes to you with news, verify it. Now the opposite is also true. If a sinner doesn't come to you, but he gives you news, then you don't have to verify it. If a truthful person, if there's a sinner, evil, corrupted person, he comes and he tells you something, Allah said verify, he could be lying. But if there's a person, he's not a sinner, you know him to be righteous, he's an upright, trustworthy, honest person, he comes to you with news, you don't have to verify it.
You don't have to.
Yeah, of course not. Because he's not going to be lying, is he? He's not a liar. If a liar comes to you with news, you have to check it, double check it, right?
But a truthful person can sin.
Say that again?
A truthful person can do haram.
He can, but he's not known to be a sinner. Everyone makes mistakes. But there's a person who is known to lie. And by the way, you know the scholars of Hadith.
Look,
him up, the scholars of Hadith. They will look into the chain of every man, because every man's biography is written. And if he was known to lie, even in his personal life, the Hadith would be considered weak and would not be accepted. And I'll tell you something else shocking. Shall I tell you something shocking? I was saying, you believe your mum's your mum, right?
Yes.
But it's based on he say, she say. But I'm saying now, why? So you accept that? You accept this is called testimony. Transmission.
Well, this is minuscule. Even if that's not my mother.
Okay, let me ask a question.
This is minuscule.
Okay, let me ask a question.
Compared to
Let me
Allah
ask
subhanahu wa
let me
ta'ala.
ask a question. Did the Holocaust happen?
I don't know. Allah alam.
Huh?
I don't
But
know.
you don't believe the Holocaust happened?
I don't know.
Okay. Let me ask a question. Is there anything in history that you believe?
I don't believe nothing except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Quran.
Okay, but the Quran is telling you to go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sunnah.
Yes, sunnah. But that's at his time.
So you're saying, so there's no sunnah for us now? Then that means those verses in the Quran can't be implemented.
No, from the Quran, yes.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How did the Quran come to you today? One second. The Quran,
Yeah.
Allah revealed it onto the tongue of who?
Jibril, and then from Jibril to
The Prophet ﷺ, right? Okay, this is an important point now. The Quran, Allah put it on the tongue of the Prophet ﷺ, right? He put it obviously in his heart, and then he recited it, right? And we're saying the Sunnah, the Hadith came from where? Originally the Prophet ﷺ's mouth as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm saying, how did the Quran come down to you now today? Did you meet the Prophet ﷺ? Were you in his time? So how did the Quran come today?
It's passed around.
The Quran came the same way the Hadith came. Sahabi took the Quran.
Through Allah, through Jibril, through
The Prophet and then literally exactly what happened with the Hadith, exactly happened with the Quran. Look, let me show you what happened. There was reciters from the Sahaba, and then they taught the Quran to their students, and then they taught it to their students, and then they taught it to their students, and that's why we have Hafs and Asim, right? Shu'bah and Asim, you know, it goes back to these people. These are the Qurra, right? They never met the Prophet. Like for example, the Quran that we have today, this right here, this Mus'haf, is Hafs. It's Hafs and Asim, yeah? The Rawi, the narrator, who narrated this to us is Hafs, and his teacher, the Qari, was Asim. May Allah have mercy on them both and be pleased with them both, yeah? They never met the Prophet ﷺ. But how do you know that this was there? Because this was what? This was tawatur. It spread everywhere. If you got different, this is important to understand, yeah? Imagine, yeah? That there are people who are reciting the same thing through different time periods. 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. In different lands. They never, ever met. They never met. But they're all saying the same thing. Can't be a lie, can it? This is called conspiracy. And this is why we know that the Holocaust happened. Because the Holocaust, even though the last Holocaust survivor is dead now. There's no one who survived the Holocaust that's alive to tell us about it today. But it's been spoken about and it's been transmitted through people who lived throughout 100 years, who lived in different parts of the globe, who spoke different languages, and they're all saying it happened, right? So to deny this truth would be claiming that there was a conspiracy. So to deny the Quran would be claiming it's a conspiracy. So the Quran came through something called tawatur.
No, the Quran, no one's denying the Quran.
Good, but then I'm saying why deny the Hadith? Because it came from the same source. The Hadith came from the same source. The Hadith came from the same source. Wallahi, Sarah, I'll be honest with you. If you be just, look what Allah said. وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ. Whatever He gives you, take it. So now you're saying there's no Hadith. So then how can you implement that ayah? That means Allah sent an ayah which can't even be implemented. Look at that. Does that make sense? That there are verses in the Quran. That means the Quran is not guidance for all of mankind, isn't it? Because at the beginning, what did Allah say? هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This is a guidance for the muttaqeen. But I'm saying, how can the muttaqeen find guidance in that ayah? Because if you're saying that the hadith is gone, the sunnah is gone, then when Allah said, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوهُ, what He gave you, take it. What He prohibited you from, leave it. That means that ayah can't be accepted. That can't be implemented. And that means that ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did what? Where He لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, He clarified the Quran. Allah actually said, we sent this upon you, O Muhammad, so you can clarify its meaning to the human beings, to mankind. So that means that how do we find where the Prophet clarified it? Where do we find how the Prophet clarified it? Does that make sense? Not only that, there are things in the Quran that you cannot implement them without the hadith. For example, Allah didn't teach you how to pray. He didn't say do takbir like this. Did He say that? Did He say do sajda? No. Allah just said, وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ, establish the prayer. But then because He said to the Prophet, لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, clarify it for them. So the Prophet will teach you, okay, salah you do, Allahu Akbar. Okay? Read Fatiha. Right? لا صلاة لمن لم يقرأ بفاتحة الكتاب. There's no salah for the one who doesn't recite the Fatiha of the Kitab. And then this is how we answer the question about the 5 prayers. What did Allah say? أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا. You're right. There were 3 time periods that were mentioned in the day. There was the daytime. Sorry, 3 times. There was the daytime when the sun is out. There was the nighttime and Fajr. So the Prophet came and told you yes. Because Allah, what did Allah tell him? لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, clarify it for the people. Explain what I mean here. So the Prophet said, right, so then the Prophet came and said, okay, at the daytime when the sun is out, there's 2. It's called Dhuhr and Asr. At nighttime, so look at this. The daytime was mentioned. That's the first time period, nighttime and Fajr, right? So these are 3 time periods. When the sun is out, the Prophet said, yeah, okay, there's 2 here. It's called Dhuhr and Asr. Right? And then when the nighttime is mentioned, what did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mention? He said there's 2, Maghrib and Isha, and then Fajr, we all know. So that's how we know there's 5. There's 5 prayers in the day, but those 5 prayers are during 3 different time zones within the day. One time zone is when the sun's out, one's when it's nighttime, and one is Fajr, when the dawn breaks. Okay. So the Prophet is clarifying it. And Allah is telling you, مَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ. Take it from him. But you think, okay, how do I know the Prophet already said this? How do I know the Prophet already said this? Then Allah says to you, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنْ جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. If a fasiq comes to you with news, verify it. But if he's sinner, evil, but if he's not, and he's upright, you know he doesn't tell no lies, he doesn't speak no ill, we have his biography, we know his life, all these men are righteous, pious, Allah Mabarak, we can see them. They're always in a masjid, they fear Allah Azza wa Jal, they don't do anything, they don't even have bad manners, right? These people, Allah said for them, okay, you don't have to verify it. So when I look, Bukhari brought me a hadith. And Bukhari, now I check, who's the man that Bukhari brought? Okay, look into his life, his biography. If I can't find his biography, you know what we say? Majhul, it's weak. If I don't know him, if I don't know who he is, the hadith is weak. The good thing about Bukhari, rahimahullah, is, you know what he done? Every hadith he brought, he worked, he done istikhara, salatul istikhara. You know istikhara prayer, right? He done salatul istikhara before he put every single hadith in his kitab, asking Allah, should I put it in there? And then he put it after doing research. Every hadith that Imam al-Bukhari brought had an authentic connected chain, and every man within the hadith, what? He brought good. Does that make sense? So al-Bukhari happened to just make the most of, he just happened to collect. He didn't write the hadith. Yeah. It's a very important thing. He didn't write it. He never did. He collected them. Okay. He collected them. He said, okay, there's a hadith.
So the hadith is really written by the Sahaba that was with the Prophet.
The Sahabi wrote the hadith, the Sahaba then told them to their students and they wrote the hadith. Okay. So remember, the hadith is, the books of hadith are transmitted in two ways. Okay. Either from memory or by book. Okay. So some scholars had written books, but you have to check, is the book authentic? Who is the book from? The guy, is this book been protected? Has it been preserved? Okay. So al-Bukhari just went and he said, okay, let me check this.
Okay, so you just collected it.
He just collected it. And he said, what I've done for you? He said, I made sure every week hadith, or even, not even weak, Hasan. Hasan is not weak. Hasan's authentic. But it's less than Sahih. It's authentic.
Okay, and who made this Sahih?
What do you mean, sorry?
Sahih basically means somebody ticked it off and said this is authentic.
Yes.
Who made this authentic?
So the scholars of Hadith, they would look. Because the scholars of Hadith will look at the chain. They'll say, okay, there's a liar in the chain, it's weak. Or this man never met this man, so where is he getting this from? There's a disconnected chain. Or this guy is been known to have bad memory. So no, we have to ignore him. Shall I tell you something amazing? You know there are books called books of Rijal, which are of all the men in the chains of these Hadith. You know those books are bigger than the Hadith books. You know why? Because it's like a footnote. You know the footnote at the bottom of the page? Those books of Rijal are like footnotes because they tell you the biography of every single man. Akhi, you know these scholars, they know where the guy was born, what year he died, what his name was, what his nickname was, what he did, where he lived, where he was, at which time of his life he was in which city. They know this. And if they said we don't have the information, they will say he's majhul al-hal. We don't know his situation. If they didn't have that wealth of information, they say hadith is weak because we can't affirm it. Only if they had the information and they could verify all of these things, only then they would say it's authentic. And they're following Allah. Allah said if he's trustworthy and he's truthful, take it. And the fact that the Quran came from the same process. It came from the same process. Hope that answered the question. I don't know if it answered. Yeah? Answered the question. Allah give you Jannah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, brothers and sisters. So that video that you just saw right now, that video was from our Matting in the Masjid project. This is a project that alhamdulillah has been running for a while now. Most importantly with the permission of Allah, and then of course with the donations that you guys have generously been giving from your own pockets. We've been doing tours up and down the country. We've been doing classes around London. We've been doing mentoring, events, so on and so forth. And the videos are there for everyone to see. Alhamdulillah. We're very clear with how this money is spent, where people, mashallah, have been swarming the masjid, alhamdulillah. Now, in order for us to continue these events and classes and so on and so forth, we do need to continue with the fundraising. That's why we're asking you to help us out. You know, if we can raise the remainder of the funds that we need to raise within the next 2 weeks, that will sort us out very nicely to the end of the summer, inshallah ta'ala. Just to give you a little example of how effective, with the permission of Allah, this program is, just at the last event, one of the brothers came into the masjid with drugs. He had drugs on him in his bag. And after the talk and after the event, came up to Brother Imran, he came up to one of the speakers and said to them, I've been drug dealing for a while. I've got drugs on me. What do I do with them? I really want to change. He ended up throwing the drugs away. And that's just one person. That's just one example. That's just one story. And there's so many more out there. So please, brothers and sisters, donate generously and help us, help the youth, and in turn, help you. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.